Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the staging things I've set up for you, some of the different ways you can mount things here. The first thing and the most popular is a raised acrylic base. Now this is just a piece of 1/2 inch thick acrylic with some sides on it, and it's got some felt feet on it, so it'll slide around on your easel here pretty easily. This is nice, so when you're moving your subject, you can just grab it and move it. The one I'm sending you, this is all papered up yet, it hasn't been removed. It has little cylinder feet with felt pads, same idea. This is my shop knockaround piece. Now you can shoot with any color background with this. So if I've got a subject here, and I don't want shadows on my background. See, if I'm shooting with a background right under my subject, I'm going to get shadows on this depending on how I have my light going. But if I put my subject here, and I put my background down here, two things. My background's going to be out of focus and there won't be any shadows. So based on that, you can put whatever color you want underneath it. Or you can mount one of our neutral gray panels underneath it as your basis and then add color onto that. That way you've got a 12% Pantone neutral gray background. Briefly, these backgrounds that I'm supplying you with are pieces of aluminum that are coated with a very special powder coat that was designed to copy the Pantone 12% neutral gray. It is absolutely neutral. It is no blue, there's no red, it is black and white. And it is used as a white balancing tool in Capture One. Now, each one of these pieces, each one of these panels has a tiny hole in the middle. That hole is set up so that you can put a pin through it. On this larger one, you've got rubber pads on the corners and one in the middle. That one in the middle will actually accept a pin mount. So I can put my pin mount in here. If I had a larger specimen, it would be fine. I've got smaller trays as well, same idea. And the tiny trays that you can set up in multiples under your stereoscope. This is important when you're looking at little tiny things. You can set these things up. You put them under the stereoscope. You can tilt them and tip them and get them absolutely parallel to your focal plane and set them aside. So you've got a group of these to work with. Okay. You can have fun with these. Again, they're powder coat, epoxy-based powder coat. You can clean them with ethanol. You can clean them with spray cleaner, spray household cleaner. They'll be fine. Unlike a cardboard gray card, these are pretty much indestructible. So that's those three. Now I've also got a background for you that is convertible. This is a gray background. It has a post you can screw in it. When you want to raise your subject, let's say you've got a dragonfly or a big moth and you want to get it up off the background, you can use this. The post has a hole in the middle. I'll put it up here. The post has a hole in the middle and it's filled with wax. So I can put my pin in there and my subject just sticks. It's big enough to where I can angle my pin because not everything is pin straight. So you want to be able to do that. Now, what if I don't want a gray background? What if I want a black background? Okay, you can flip it over and it's got black velvet. It's a special kind of black velvet that is a light gobbling velvet. It's amazing. If we were to put this up here, we'll shoot this again. You put this up here and you shoot it on the black background. It is completely void. It is an inky black background. You do not have to touch this up. That's something that is you're going to really enjoy. Okay, that's for the pin back. Now, if you want to shoot a lateral shot, I've made this for you. This is important because sometimes when you're shooting a lateral shot, you want to have the light coming through this side and this side, or at a right angle. But with two lights, you don't have any light coming in through the back. So this back is a brushed white reflective plexiglass that acts as a bounce card. So when you're lighting from this side, you're going to get reflected light off the back, which gently illuminates the back of your specimen. It's at a small percentage of the light coming in through the front. It's more like a very light fill light. Now I've got if I zoom in on this fly, I'm going to have a nice gray, neutral gray background. I can't see any of this white stuff. If I want to make this a black background, I've set you up with a little velvet insert. You just put it down there and you've got a black background. Now you can do this with the diffuser. It works the best. You could do it with straight light, bounce light. I like the diffuser, the bellows diffuser. But this is a real simple little lateral stage for doing this. Lastly, if you're going to be shooting in fluid, and in your manuals, you will see a whole PowerPoint on fluid. I did for iDig Bio, and I've included it in your instruction manual. Shooting in fluid is really not hard. Let's say I want a black background, I'm shooting some larvae in a Petri dish. If I put my Petri dish with my ethanol and my larvae sitting on here, if I put some ethanol of the same, let's say 70% ethanol, if I put some 70% ethanol on this and then put my Petri dish down on it in a manner so that the air bubbles are out of the way, I've now basically bonded my black background to the back of my larvae, which means that I don't see the Petri dish, I don't see the scratches, I don't see the plastic, I don't see anything. All I see is a black background, and I can't tell if it's right under the larvae or 10 miles away. It's a great setup for that. It's important to do that when you're shooting in fluid. Now, if you wanted fluid with a white background, not a black background, you could do the same technique here on the acrylic stage and simply slide white paper or a gray background or a blue background or green, whatever you want underneath it. But you need to marry that Petri dish to this plexi with whatever fluid you're shooting in. We're going to go through all this stuff as we're shooting. I wanted you to get a brief idea of how these little setups work. So when I say I'm using the pinned mount with a black background, we'll show it in the video, but you'll understand how it's working. That's it. We'll get on to shooting next.